Haunted by the past, haunted by the future, stolen land, stolen virtue. How does one escape the cycle of perpetuated violence and break the curse of generations? The book we're going to talk about today is The Curse of Hester Gardens by Tamika Thompson. And this book was quite powerful and very emotional. It was haunting and eerie and eye-opening and a phenomenally well done horror book. This follows the story, the main character, Nona McKinley. It's basically about her life, and in this part of Medford, Michigan, there is Hester Gardens, which is an impoverished community, and there is a lot of gang-related violence, but there's also seems to be a weird haunting going on there. Maybe it's a curse, maybe it's echoes of the past, maybe it's just that energy that's been stuck there in this land and has come back around to haunt them, and the ghosts just don't leave. When people die in Hester Gardens, they stay there, and some maybe come back to seek revenge, and maybe it's not the ghost that they think it is, and maybe it's so many different things and elements that go into this. So you have Nona, who her eldest son was killed by gun violence, and her husband ends up going to jail due to violence and drug dealing and such. And so he's in jail, her eldest has died, and she just wants to get her two sons basically out of Hester Gardens and away from all this like trauma and generational violence and all this BS that basically oppresses this society. So it's a story of just hope and sadness amidst all this. Just seems like the deck is stacked against them. So she has her two sons. Her one is just about to graduate high school. He has a full ride to an Ivy League school. His name's Marcus, and he's doing really well. He's going to get out. He's very close, right on the precipice. And then the younger son, Lance, he's been hanging out with a bad crowd and hanging out with these Hester boys who are like the local gang members and whatnot. And when they were all kids, they were good kids, but as they grew up, some of those members of the Hester boys took some pretty bad turns, especially one of them named Peter, who they suspect might have had a hand in what happened to Nona's eldest son, and they don't really know. And then Nona's got her own baggage too. She's kind of like running around with the pastor of her church, and he's been helping her out a lot with her boys and monetarily, this, that, and the other, but he's married, and so she's got that. And like with the haunting too, people will see ghosts of people who maybe died, appliances, stoves turning on when no one's there and just acting up, and you get a new stove and the same thing keeps happening. And you have all these different vignettes of the people who live in Hester Gardens, and just a lot of them have lost loved ones due to gun violence. You just really feel the heartbreak of Nona and these people and everything they go through, and just like how just the things that affect where they live and what's happening, and how like if you hear certain things, like you hear gunshots, get down on the floor because you might catch a stray bullet through the window, like you just don't know. And putting bars on your windows. But then like with these weird hauntings too, not being able to get out if something's trying to keep you in there too. And you would think that is to keep you safe, but also when you're maybe have a ghost seeking revenge, that it's going to keep you inside. Because the unit where Nona lives too, sometimes their front door sticks and doesn't want to open, and it seems like maybe something is doing that. And then hearing voices and feeling presences, and it seems like everyone is haunted in this place and has their own curses or ghosts and whatnot. And the one that haunts Nona is something that she has guilt for and blames herself. Even though she didn't personally do it, she stood by and feels she allowed it to happen. But it might have been something where she was kind of in shock with what was going on, because if you read it, you'll know. So you watch Nona's sons and you see where Lance is going and how he's getting into like bad stuff. But Marcus, the one who's going to be going to the Ivy League school, he's starting to let stuff, fall by the wayside. And it seems like he might have a bad side as well. And he might be starting to drift and, not fully focusing on going to college and getting out of this place. And maybe, he has suspicions about what happened to his brother. So that kind of changed him too. So he has like a good side and a bad side, and maybe he's getting into some stuff he shouldn't either. And maybe Nona should be worried about him too, and then she's got to worry about him maybe not getting out as well. So who knows, Well, I do know because I read it. And so he starts to go down a weird path. And then they have their relative, this guy, Harlan, who he had actually gotten out, and then he became a journalist, and he covers different stories of gun violence and like the patterns of what happens with that and all this. And like I said, it's a very powerful read. It's haunting, it's gut-wrenching, it is strange and eerie and so many things. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend it. If any of that sounds good to you, I would say definitely check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.